In the headlines, APC NEC elects Ganduja National Chairman Basiru as Secretary. Labour suspends protest, returns to negotiation table with FG. Nigerian Army troops rescue 4 kidnapped victims, destroy bandits' dens in Kaduna. And on the foreign scene, UN says more than 6 million people one step away from famine in Sudan. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for joining. And now the news in full. The National Executive Committee NEC of the All Progressives Congress APC on Thursday elected former Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje as the national chairman of the party. The party's NEC also elected former Senate spokesman Ajibola Basiru as national secretary. The parties also elected former Senate spokesperson Ajibola Basiru as national secretary. The two party officials were elected today at the 12th NEC meeting of the party held at the Congress Hall of Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. Some newsmen billed to cover APC National Executive Committee meeting were turned back by overzealous security operatives at the Congress Hall of Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. Venue of the meeting, the security operatives also prevented media and personnel aides of governors attending the meeting. Trust TV's Bel Shafiu Suleiman reports that limited number of journalists with accreditation were, however, allowed by handlers of the high-profile party gathering with President Bola Tinubu in attendance.
This is the arrival of Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, who also doubles as leader of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Though it is not unusual to see such tight security arrangement in an event a sitting president is attending, aides to political office holders whispered to this reporter that the tight security regime this time around is unprecedented. The APC high-profile party meeting, which has governors, leadership of the National Assembly, top organ of the party in attendance, is expected to review major happenings such as resignations of its national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, and National Secretary Iola Mishere, as well as National Vice Chairman Northwest Salihu Lukman, and agree on emergence of new party leaders. Former Governor of Kano State Abdullahi Ganduje has reportedly been endorsed to replace the APC's immediate past national chairman Abdullahi Adamu. Other appointments are expected to be ratified at the meeting. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Ex-President Muhammadu Buhari has explained why he did not attend the caucus meeting of the All Progressives Congress APC in Abuja. The National Caucus meeting took place at the Presidential Villa on Wednesday, but the next summit will assemble party leaders in Transcorp Hilton on Thursday. Explaining why he was unable to attend the meetings, Buhari, through his spokesman Garba Shehu, said he was unavailable due to commitments he earlier made. He conveyed his apologies, indicating that he is unable to attend due to commitments earlier made. The former president used the opportunity to express his support and commitment to the party, at the same time wishing it a good meeting as the leaders take decisions on issues of importance to the party and the nation. The former vice president, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, also apologized for his unavailability at the events, saying he was being committed to many assignments outside the country. In the meantime, the organized labor has suspended its planned strike after a meeting with President Bola Tinubu following nationwide protest against the removal of fuel subsidy embarked upon by its affiliate unions. The president of Trade Union Congress, Festus Asifo, made this known during an interview with RS News on Thursday morning. He said the labor leaders who had earlier met with President Bola Tinubu extracted some commitments to some of the issues raised during the meeting for immediate implementation. He explained the suspension of the strike was based on the meeting with the president. The NLC President Joe Ajoro noted that the outcome of the meeting with the government did not yield any changes, positive or concessions that will alter their course of action. They stressed that they remain steadfast in their commitment to representing the Nigerian workers and people's interests and desires. President Bola Tinubu met with President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajoro, and President General of the Trade Union Congress after Wednesday's nationwide protest. The Labour leaders said the president made some commitments in response to the demands of organized labour, but there is no indication yet that the protest will be suspended. Kende Amadou reports.
If the intention was to get the full attention of the president, Wednesday's protests certainly did. Leaders of the labor unions were back at the presidential villa a few hours after the protests, and unlike the last few meetings, they were negotiating directly with President Tinubu. Their demands have not changed.
The issues are the same issues that led to the protest today, and he has expressed his position, made some commitment, which we are taking side by side with what the National Assembly said, the Senate said, and we're taking it back to the office with our colleagues there to review it and release a document on our next line of action. No one person can call it off. That's why I say we have to go back to the office so that they will look at it, the ESCO looks at it before they come up. And by tomorrow, the NSC will have equally their next meeting, to look at a bigger picture.
And despite the fact that the president has not shifted ground either, it seems he's ready to make some concessions. Labour is going back to its constituency to consult and decide whether these protests will still go ahead. Nigerians wait with bated breath to see what direction this struggle of wills will go next. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
The federal government has filed a contempt case against the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) for resisting an order restricting the unions from embarking on industrial action. The notice of consequences of disobedience to order of court was filed before the National Industrial Court in Abuja on Wednesday. Organized Labour on Wednesday embarked on nationwide protest against what it called the anti-people policies of the President Bola Tinubu administration in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Abuja, and other states of the Federation, including Lagos, Benue, Abia, Plateau, Kaduna, Kano, Rivers, Zamfara, Katsina, Cross River, Ebonyi, Enugu, Kwara, Ogun, Imo, Ondo, and Edo. Top officials of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and Trade Union Congress (TUC) joined the protest in the Federal Capital Territory, starting from the Unity Fountain with hundreds of their members. Affiliated unions of the NLC and the TUC, including the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers (NOPENG), the National Union of Electricity Employees of Nigeria (NUE), National Union of Road Transport Workers (NURTW), and the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU) also joined the nationwide protest. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) says it has little or no control over the pricing of either premium motor spirit or foreign exchange rate. A principal manager with the Apex Bank, Osigi Clement, said this while appearing before the House of Representatives ad hoc committee investigating the recent hike in the price of fuel. The report.
One of the reasons explained by the Central Bank of Nigeria is that the value of the naira at the interbank forex market is largely driven by the forces of demand and supply. According to him, the exchange rate is determined by market forces such as the demand for foreign currency by importers, exporters, and investors. Osage further explained that the demand for PMS has gone down by 30% due to its low demand following the hike in the price. He advised the federal government to discourage fuel importation and encourage local production as $150 million is currently being deployed for PMS importation monthly through CBN intervention, which is posing serious challenge to the economy.
Can we just take out PMS from the bucket and give it a special treatment so that we can have some level of stability in PMS price for a short time to give us room to put our house in order? Maybe other local refineries will start working, so we might not need to be importing the product anymore.
On their part, the Executive Director, Distribution Systems of the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, NMDPRA, Ogbogu Ukoha, who also appeared before the ad hoc committee, stated that prices of petrol are determined by the market forces of demand and supply.
The same PIA has given the authority exercise enormous powers to intervene to avoid cartel building, which is why we've introduced competition, to also deal with illegal profiteering, and more importantly, to work with FCCPC in relation to consumer protection.
While expressing worries over the low demand of petrol since the increment caused by the removal of subsidy, Chairman of the Committee on Petrol Price Increase, Babajimi Benson, called on the relevant regulators to regulate pricing since the Petrol Industry Act, PIA, gave it the powers to do so.
The demand for foreign exchange has gone down, which is good for Nigerians. And they've promised that within 4 months, we would see an increased flow of foreign exchange. We would also see a mass reduction in the volume of demand for foreign exchange. Secondly, this subsidy removal has caused a 30% reduction in the consumption of fuel.
It is widely believed that the CBN can influence the exchange rate through its monetary policy decisions, such as adjusting interest rates or setting foreign currency reserves. However, these policies may not always have the desired effect.
The troops of the Nigerian army have rescued at least 4 kidnapped victims and destroyed bandit camps in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. The acting Deputy Director, Army Public Relations 1 Division Nigerian Army, Lieutenant Colonel Musa Yahya, made a disclosure in a statement issued on Wednesday. Yahya said the kidnapped victims were rescued by the troops on Monday, July 31st, 2023. He charged the troops to maintain momentum in order to bring a lasting end to the criminal activities of bandits, cattle rustlers and other crimes in the state. He also appealed to all law-abiding citizens to go about their legitimate businesses and avail the Nigerian army and other security agencies with timely and credible intelligence. Police in Delta State have paraded 8 suspects in connection with armed robbery, illegal possession of firearms, kidnapping and car theft. The police public relations officers Bright Edafe, who briefed the media during the parade, said that one of the suspected kidnappers was gunned down as he tried to escape. He warned that the state command is determined to smoke out criminals from their hideouts anywhere in the state.
On the 29th of July, we recorded the rescue of a particular kidnapped victim who was kidnapped along Jabba Road. In the case of this suspect, this syndicate, they usually go on keke. They will pretend like they have caused an accident, hit this particular Lexus vehicle, whereby the driver of the vehicle came down thinking maybe they have badges. Can only for him to come down. These hoodlums came out with a double barrel gun, forcefully kidnapped him and put him inside his own vehicle while they were on their way towards the Efuru Road at Fupre Junction in particular. The patrol team from the Bumede Division, while on stop and search, intercepted them, and these hoodlums came out from the vehicle, one of them bearing firearm. There were about 4 in number and they escaped. So some of the policemen went after them, successfully neutralized the person bearing the firearm. The others escaped, were still on their trail.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has again failed to open its defense in a petition challenging the election of Kebbi State Governor Nasir Idris due to absence of its witnesses. INEC, the first respondent in the case filed by PDP governorship candidate Aminu Bande, has told the tribunal at the weekend that witnesses it intended to call were not ready. Umar Afanda sends this report from Birnin Kebbi.
At the close of the tribunal sitting last Friday, when the counsel to the petitioners, General Aminu Bande and PDP, closed presentation of their witnesses against all the 4 respondents, it was arranged that the respondents, Independent National Electoral Commission, Nasir Idris, the governor, Umar Abubakar, the deputy governor, and the ruling APC will open a defense on Monday. INEC, being the first respondent on the allegation of rigging in the last 2023 governorship election, was expected to open its defense on Monday, but requested the tribunal to give them additional 3 days, which the tribunal ruled over and gave them Tuesday as against the Monday, which it now also failed, all on the accounts that they were yet to be ready with their witnesses. Barrister Nura Bello, one of the counsels to the petitioners, has shedded more light on the 2 days sitting of the tribunal.
In the present petition before the Kebbi State Election Petition Tribunal, we have 4 respondents. The respondents are INEC, Nasur Idris, Abubakar Umar Argungu, and APC, which is All Progressive Congress. The first respondent, who is INEC, who is supposed to open their defense yesterday, Monday, applied to the Honorable Tribunal that they could not proceed with their case because there were some documents they are trying to obtain from the Independent National Electoral Commission, of which the documents are not yet handy. And as a result of that, they asked for an application for the tribunal to give them more time for them to procure those documents and tender them before the tribunal, of which the tribunal yesterday, Monday, adjourned and gave them today, which is Tuesday, for them to produce the document and tender them, and also produce with their witnesses if they have any. And after tendering those documents, the learned counsel for the first respondent applied again to the tribunal that the witnesses they intend to call are not available. For that, they are asking for an adjournment to Thursday to enable them procure those witnesses and present them before the tribunal.
All efforts to convince the INEC councils to speak and shed more light on why they continuously seek for adjournment despite the limited 4 days of their defense failed. From the Kebbi State Governorship Election Tribunal, Omar Afanda, Trust TV.
You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming off after the break, we take a look at how 155% school fees hike generates ripples. Details of these and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV, and here is the recap of some of our top stories. APC NECT elects Ganduje National Chairman Basiru as Secretary. A Labour suspends protests, returns to negotiation table with FG. The Nigerian Immigration Service (NIS) in Kebbi State has said it has intercepted over 52 traffic victims and handed them over to the National Agency for Prohibition in Trafficking of Persons (NEPTIP) from February last year. This NIS controller Rabi Bashir Nuhu told journalists during a briefing to commemorate the 68th anniversary of the service that upon her assumption of office in February last year, the command succeeded in intercepting many youths, mostly girls, that were being planned for trafficking to Libya through the Ilela border in Sokoto State. She said they also intercepted many illegal immigrants trying to move in and out of Nigeria through the Kebbi borders. She noted that what was more worrisome was that most of the victims of human trafficking were youths that had no knowledge of what awaited them on their way, and in Libya, where they were being trafficked to. She added that the service was carved out of the police in 1958. And now on education, students of the University of Jos are lamenting the over 155% increment in school fees by the management of the institution. The university management had on Saturday released a new school fees schedule for fresh and returning students, a development that many parents and students say is uncalled for. Adu Musa completes the report.
The approved new charges for the 2022 academic session indicates that fresh students will pay 213,000 naira, while returning students will pay 160,000 naira. Last session, both fresh and returning students pay 45,000 naira each. However, the students say the new charges are too high for parents considering the economic hardship in the country.
Because the increment is very high, in the sense that a lot of us cannot accommodate such. We interact within us, we know our capacity, and seriously, the way how the country is going, I don't think if most of us will come back to the school and continue with our program. I don't think so.
Honestly, like every other Nigerians, it's very outrageous. Like I keep telling people, most of us we are students and we are fathers. We have children also who are also in school. We have our wives who are also in school. We have our dependents who depend on us for their schooling. So now increasing the school fees to this kind of amount is so outrageous.
I have heard that University of Jos have increased their school fees, and it's not nice at all, because some people are coming here because they cannot afford private university. Are they trying to compare themselves to private universities? Some of us came here because we will not be able to afford it at all. 200,000 is too much.
The students, however, call on the federal government and the university authority to look into the current economic hardship and review the charges downward.
I'm calling on the relevant authorities to look at us, most especially with the masses, because if you look at the institutions, majority of us are coming from the poorest family. So battling with what we eat now is a problem. Talk more of paying school fees.
And we call on the relevant authorities. If actually the federal government has said that this increment shouldn't hold water, they should monitor, they should set up a monitoring team or committee to go to all these different schools, because they're trying to exploit some students. As our president used to say, that let the poor breathe. Honestly, let us breathe, because there are some poor masses who cannot be able to pay this kind of school fees. If not, we have got to private universities and school.
For the government to look into it and reduce the price of the school fees, because learning is not only for the rich. Even us that are poor are supposed to learn.
President Bola Tinubu had in his nationwide broadcast on Monday asked higher institutions, especially universities, to avoid arbitrary increment of school fees in order to ensure that students continue with their education. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Pharmacists say self-medication poses grave danger to the health system, warning Nigerians against engaging in it. They spoke with Trust TV in Asaba during their annual meeting, pointing out the dire consequences of self-medication. They harped on the need to desist from taking drugs without prescription from the medical experts. They noted that many lives have been lost due to self-medication, stating that sensitization is one of the keys of solving self-medication.
Self-medication, it has, cost so many lives, leading to high mortality rate. And for us, the people, we keep telling people the much you can do if you're not feeling fine is to meet or seek a healthcare professional.
Professional healthcare, you can reach him anytime and he can assess you and give you advice on what to do next. So I believe that people, that's people in the urban areas where there are pharmacies, But in the rural areas, government has established private healthcare centers and other hospitals where you can go to. It's rather to meet them than self-medicate because it could be dangerous. And the drug could be as deadly, if not more than the disease, to use it inappropriately.
Because sometimes people will say, because they are experiencing the same symptoms with what another person is experiencing, they will want to say, use this for what I used. And meanwhile, there could be clash of symptoms. So we advise people to always seek a healthcare professional before taking medications.
Major cities in the Niger Republic are experiencing prolonged blackouts after Nigeria cut its power supply to the neighboring West African country. According to Niger-Lake, an electricity company in Niger, the development followed an emergency meeting by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, where sanctions including freezing utility services were imposed on the Niger Republic over its coup. The cities of Niamey, Maradi and Zinda each witnessed about an hour of electricity at a time before it went off for about 5 hours. This is said to be unusual in the Niger Republic, which usually enjoys a reliable electricity supply. Niger Republic is heavily dependent on Nigeria for most of its electricity supplies. The transmission company of Nigeria, when quizzed by the press on the Niger power cuts, declined to comment on the issue, but an anonymous source disclosed to the BBC that the electricity supply to Niger was cut on Tuesday following a presidential directive. On Sunday, West African leaders gave the military junta 1 week to give up power or face possible military intervention. And now, away from Nigeria, United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization says over 20.3 million people, representing more than 42% of the population in Sudan, are experiencing high levels of acute food insecurity. The UN sounded the alarm Wednesday of impending famine in Sudan, where months of war have hit food supplies and pushed nearly 4 million people to flee the fighting. The fighting has destroyed critical infrastructure, severely hampered agriculture, and blocked the delivery of crucial aid. More than half of the population is facing acute hunger in West Darfur, which has seen some of the worst clashes, including civilians targeted for their ethnicity and mass sexual violence. For months, civilians have been pleading for a reprieve from the ceaseless airstrikes, artillery battles and gunfire that have turned cities, including the capital, into war zones. No humanitarian corridors have materialized despite promises from the warring parties, preventing aid groups from delivering increasingly life-saving assistance. And with that, we have come to the end of the Trust TV's news update. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and our YouTube live stream. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for watching and bye for now.